So, Mr. Van Vechten, I'm going to ask you, you've read through most of the transcripts and the materials we pulled together?
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay. In the flight for the PAT-25, at one point, and I want to make sure I'm getting the right terminology, I'm going to call it left seat and right seat. Is that okay with you?
Yes, sure.
The left seat is flying, and they're coming down to a transition point, and they turn right instead of going straight. Do you recall that?
Yes, vicinity of Cabin John.
At Cabin John, they took a right, but they were supposed to be going straight. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Also, at one point during the CVRs that we downloaded, the left seat indicated that that person had a little bit of dizziness during that flight. So, do you recall that?
I don't remember reading about dizziness.
I got dizzy for a moment, I believe.
I don't recall that part.
Recorders, do we have that?
I'm not saying it's not there. I just don't remember that.
Okay, if you'll check it, I want to make sure because I don't want anybody reporting that we said that.
Sure.
But whenever you read in the next of kin, the familial relationships, the left seat operator, we were told at one point had a case or had an issue with vertigo. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is that concerning to fly night vision goggles with someone who is having vertigo or had vertigo in the past? Does that create an additional layer or an additional complexity for that person to operate?
Yes, if they continue to be affected by the spinning sensation of vertigo.
Would that be something, if you're in the right seat and you're evaluating, if you see these things start to happen, you're making a wrong turn, would you suspend the flight during that out of safety?
I mean, it's situationally dependent, depending on how bad it is. But if I've flown with pilots before who've thrown up while performing combat maneuvering flights, so I take the controls and terminate the flight.
Okay. What about if they were to go goggles up?
Why did they go goggles up?
If they would go goggles up, does that terminate the flight?
I mean, if you announce, hey, I'm going unaided for a minute, which I will sometimes do on the DC Hela routes, I wouldn't do it on Route 4 because it's a much lower altitude, but in a zone transition, possibly I'll flip the goggles up just to get a little night unaided time and visual acuity. But that wouldn't terminate the flight if they had a reason.
Was there an expectation bias that they needed to run this entire mission with night vision goggles, even if they were getting into a traffic area? Would that have had a detrimental outcome to the flight itself?
No, typically for A-part evaluation, specifically the MVG standardization combination flight, I like to log a little bit of night unaided as well so that I get all modes of flight during the evaluation to evaluate the pilot.
Okay. At any point during this flight, did you hear them go goggles up?
I don't remember reading that.
Okay. I think we've read it. We never saw that, which would have been an indication that NVGs were not in use. Had they would have announced someone, right, goggles up?
And I only read it from Cabin John to the incident.
Okay. I think we can check it a little further, but it will be in the transcript. Sherry, do you want to go back to your question?
Yeah, Mr. Van Vechten. And again, this is very sensitive. So, but we do have to talk about it. Does the Army have any evidence, or have you seen any evidence in our docket that the Black Hawk pilot who was flying failed to heed a directive from their pilot instructor to change course?
So the wording and terminology that I'm assume you're referring to is they want us to come a little bit more left.
Sure.
So that statement is much different than come left. So it would not be uncommon to have a discussion in the cockpit to query each other to see what ATC is talking about, especially when you receive a confusing radio call such as, do you see the CRJ? They were probably saying, yes, I see the CRJ lining up on runway 1 for landing. It's no factor. Why are they questioning me again? And so then it is possible that the instructor pilot said, well, maybe they want us to come a little bit more left to clear up, to get further away from the final approach course of runway 1. But that's much different than saying come left.
Right. So what happened actually, 2047-41, Pat DCA tower says Pat 25 passed behind the CRJ. Pat 25, because of a mic click, here's Pat CRJ. And then says Pat DCA tower says actually you hear Pat 25 has aircraft in sight request visual separation. DCA tower visual separation. Then you have the pilot instructor, and I'm trying to take out words here about individuals, so I'm not stating who it is. So the pilot instructor says, all right, kind of come left for me. I think that's why the local controller is asking. And then the pilot flying says, sure. The pilot instructor says, we're kinda, and the pilot flying says, okay, fine. The pilot instructor says, out towards the middle. And then that's it. Is there any evidence to suggest so far that the pilot flying failed to listen to that directive from the instructor?
It sounds like the response was not immediate enough, and flying over the middle of the river is not typical. We typically hug the shoreline, so I don't know why they were a little bit further west than the route that we normally fly, hugging the shoreline. So they probably just didn't respond fast enough to the commands.
So it's actually 2 seconds. That entire that was 2 seconds.
That's not that long.
It's not long.
It's not at all.
The reason I'm asking is there was an article that said in the final seconds before impact, the pilot instructor told the pilot flying that the air traffic controller wanted them to turn left. And again, I'm trying to take out, turning left would have opened up more space between the helicopter and flight 5342, which was heading for runway 33 at an altitude of roughly 300 feet. But there is no indication that they ever turned left. Instead, the helicopter flew directly into the jet. I think, I have real concerns about an article like that. Those are a lot of assumptions. And families are devastated by this. And what that article did was put out in the public speculation.
I have not heard the actual audio. I think tone, I would need to hear the actual audio and hear the tone and the voice. But to me, it just sounds like normal communication, and there would be no reason to hard bank to the left. It was just, hey, I think they want us to come a little more left. And we don't know when they were about to turn left, but it just wasn't within the 2 seconds, which is not a long period of time.
You think the New York Times had access to the CVR audio? Nope.
I have no idea.
Member Graham? Member Inman?
Thanks. Mr. Folks, do we have that pulled up? So I want to just bring you back, and we're actually looking at the CVR that's in the public document. This is coming from Exhibit 12, Helo A. And I'll drop you down to right at 1953. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little dizzy, like looking down and around with the winds or whatever it is, but not too bad. Is that coupled with a wrong turn at Cabin John, two factors that would cause concern as an instructor pilot?
Yes, it would heighten my sense of awareness for sure.
And I don't want you to speculate on it, but that coupled with knowing additional medical information about vertigo could be concerning?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Joe.
Thank you very much.